it's Siobhan Muir. Welcome back. Today we're gonna focus on what we like to call Ostara, but it's, traditionally called Easter. We're gonna do some Easter themed, well, I don't know if this is Easter themed, but we're calling it Easter themed. So there you go. We're making what the original recipe is called a raspberry cream cheese coffee cake. We're not doing that.
We don't have the raspberry.
And we don't have cream cheese. So what we're doing is we're substituting, we're making some changes. We're gonna do a blackberry cream cheese coffee cake. And by cream cheese, we're using goat cheese. It means you have to add a little sugar to make it sweeter, but in the end, it still tastes really, really good. So here's what you're going to need. And let me preface this by saying, I'm frustrated that it needs this many bowls. Okay, I'm really frustrated that it needs it. I don't want this many bowls. It needs 4 of them.
She's very frustrated about that.
I don't like that. It makes me grumpy.
Yes, it does.
So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need a 1/4 cup of sugar. And I'm just gonna build it while you're standing here because I need 4 bowls. So you need a 1/4 cup of sugar. 8 ounces of cream cheese softened. So I happen to have 8 ounces of something softened. Can you cut this and just peel it apart? And we're only gonna use half of it. The other is gonna go in front of the recipe. And then 1 egg white and then 1 cup of blackberries, in our case, washed and rinsed. But since they're frozen, they should be fine. This is going to be the filling that you're going to put in the cake. And this is one of those kind of unusual recipes. You're actually going to need a specific springform pan. So it's like you're making a cheesecake, but we're not really going to do that. I know it seems like a strange thing to say, but we're going to use a pan that you would normally use for a cheesecake. So we're going to make the filling, but then I'm going to tell you some of the instructions here. So that's just for the filling, and we're just kind of putting it together right now so that it's just easier and I can list things off of my counter. Then what you're going to need for the cake, so that you know what you need and then you can set it up. You're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We use the Gluten-Free Bob's Redmill. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 5.5 tablespoons of softened butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 egg plus 1 egg yolk. So we use the whites in the filling. We're going to use the egg yolk in the rest of the cake. 3/4 cup of sour cream, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's what you're gonna need for the cake, and we'll go through the directions, but I wanted to get you set up so that you wouldn't be like, I needed what now? So, the first thing you're going to do, I know I put this all together already, but first thing you're going to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius. Grease a 9-inch springform pan, and then on top of that, line the bottom with parchment paper. Okay, so it's not just, you do want to grease it, and then on top of that, you're going to add the little parchment paper. And then it says, set aside, which she did without even being prompted. To make the filling, mix together the cream cheese and sugar on medium-low speed, and then add the egg white and mix on low to just combine. All right, so we just did the mixture on the inside. This is before we add the berries, so it's going to look like that. But we're leaving it like this, and we're just going to set aside. Okay, so we didn't mix everything together. We just want to mix it together until creamy, and then set aside once you get this kind of pasty looking stuff. Again, this is the whole 4-bowl thing that just annoys the daylights out of me, but it's gonna make sense at the end, okay? So, once you've made that, you're gonna set it aside. All right, then it says, to make the cake batter in a bowl, stir together flour, so 1.5 cups of flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and set aside. Another bowl. But the good news is you need a half teaspoon of baking powder, half teaspoon of baking soda, or baking powder. We will get a half teaspoon of baking soda, and a quarter teaspoon of salt, just making sure that I get this right. Half teaspoon of baking powder, half teaspoon of baking soda, quarter teaspoon of salt. Whisk together to combine. And set aside. Complexity. Bowl number 3. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cream together the butter and sugar on medium-low speed. So you're going to need 5.5 tablespoons of softened butter and a half a cup of sugar. This, again, we are now making the cake portion. The cream, that's gonna end up on top. So this is now the cake portion. So we're going to cream together the butter and sugar. So now you cream together the butter and sugar. So that's not exactly creamed, but you know, if it looks like this, don't worry about it. You're not going to make a bad cake. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. So then on top of that, you will add egg and egg yolk, which is this. This will make things creamier. So I was gonna, do you want to scrape it out or no?
No.
Nah, we don't care. All right. And then you're going to add one teaspoon, I believe it was. Yep, of vanilla.
Oh, okay.
Now we're getting something that looks more creamy. All right. Slowly mix in the flour mixture from the previous bowl, alternating with the sour cream. So you're going to want to have your 3/4 of a cup of sour cream already put together so that you can alternate, because otherwise you're going to give me the look that my cameraman did, is like, what? So yeah, you'll want to have both ready to go, and you're just going to do a little at a time because you want to get enough moisture to add dry stuff, but the dry stuff allows the structure, so it's an alternating thing. So what you have to do is you have to prepare your sour cream. You need 3/4 of a cup, which the inner line is, and have your dry ingredients ready to go. Because what you're going to do is, I think we're going to start with dry ingredients. And go ahead and put some in. Good. And a little more. There we go. And you're going to mix that in, and then you're going to add the sour cream. Not while it's going. You can do this. You can stop the mixer and put it in and then mix in. There's no reason to go while you're, full bore. All right. Then add. Give me a second here. I have so many hands. Maybe a little more. Cool. And then you add that. Ooh, good. Yeah. That's good. As you can see, the batter is getting stiffer with just the dry ingredients. All right. That should give you the basis for your dough. And again, it's pretty thick. It's not going to flow here, which is good because that's what you're aiming for. All right. Now, it says, transfer the batter into the prepared pan and smooth with a spatula. Spread the cream cheese filling on top. All right. So you're going to want to have a relatively thick batter anyway because it's the base of the cake. All right. So it looks kind of lumpy, so the best thing you could do is just really gently press and smooth. It's going to be a little slick because you have oiled the bottom. So this is basically what you're doing, is you're just kind of smoothing it out as best as you can. I mean, it's not going to be perfectly smooth on top. That is not how this batter will work. But you want to have, in general, all the spaces filled up. So not perfectly flat, but spread out, and so that you're actually going to get a full cake. So what goes on top of this? Bowl number 1. Because, sure. This is the cream cheese filling that you're making, you've made. All right, and this one also, be very gentle, but you want to spread it around the entirety of your cake.
So the next thing we're going to do after she washes her hands is we're going to put the blackberries on top of the cake. And then we're going to make the very last bit, the topping.
Yeah.
So
Which is
which
what-
I shall get you another bowl.
Get another bowl. Okay.
It shouldn't take that much though.
So what you do is you literally place the berries in the topping.
If she's going to drop them.
Well, why not? I mean,
Reminds me of when people say drop the mic, except for this is a blackberry. A forest of boulders in the snow.
it's all right. And my fingers are dyed pink.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah. Okay. To make the topping, because we need another bowl and something else to do. So what you're going to need, and I had to write this down because the thing eliminated it, you're going to need 1/3 cup of sugar, which is over here, 1/2 cup of flour, and 3 tablespoons of chilled and cubed butter.
I never thought I'd have to do this. I have to cube butter. I mean, I've cubed many other things, but butter?
Butter, yep. Because what you're going to end up doing is making a crumbly topping.
They're not going to be uniform, so they're...
That's it. That's just...
I knew it. Dad, I lost another joke.
I didn't say it!
You were thinking.
Uh-huh. This is what's called a pastry blender. You do not need one of these. We just happen to have it. We might as well use it. You can use a fork. You're basically cutting up the butter and mixing it with flour and sugar to make a crumbly topping. That's really all you're doing. And you know what? We're using 1/2 cup of white sugar, but you could use brown sugar. Most of these toppings often do use brown sugar. So you can use 1/2 cup of, or 1/3 cup, sorry, not 1/2 cup. 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar. Whatever floats your boat. We seem to be doing a white theme this time, so that's what we're doing.
So if it's 3 tablespoons of butter cubed, does that make it 27?
This is what happens when you end up with a math nerd.
It's a legitimate question.
No, it's not. So, I haven't put the flour in, just in case you're like, wait, she didn't put the flour in. No, you're right. I have not put the flour in. I'm just kind of mixing the butter with, actually, can I have a knife as well?
Yeah, I'll be right there. What kind of knife?
Just a butter knife.
Okay.
I'm working with butter, so I need a butter knife.
I'll give you the useless one.
Yeah, that's perfect actually. Okay, so what you are doing now basically is putting the mixture at the top. And the nice thing about a pastry cutter is it kind of cuts up the butter and mixes it at the same time with the other ingredients. Okay, so it's gonna be somewhat crumbly. I think I would have used brown sugar next time. It's gonna taste just fine, but you know, this is a white cake on a white cake with a little bit of color. Now this, and then it says sprinkle the streusel on top. This nifty cool bowl has a little lip. Ta-da! Bowl number 6. No, bowl number 5. So this is what it should kind of look like. Now again, if you use brown sugar, you might get a nice color variation on it where you can, you know, because the flour's white. Yeah. So now what you do, according to this thing, is
Cook it.
bake for 40 to 45 minutes until a cake tester inserted in the center comes out clean. Cool on a rack and run a knife around the edge of the cake and then loose the ring of the springform pan. Do the knife first. Why? Because if you just springform the pan, it could rip your cake apart. Not what you're going for
Wouldn't
here.
that be fun?
No, that would be very exciting for a very short time, and then you'd be really disappointed. So make sure you do put a knife around the edge to kind of loosen it up, and then you can open the springform pan. All right, let's bake this thing. 40 to 45 minutes.
I have it started at 42.
Okay, we're gonna start with 42. We'll be back, and you can see what the whole thing looks like, hopefully cooked all the way through. So we brought it out of the oven, and we let it cool. And the nice thing is about it cooling is that the stuff that was kind of on the jiggle no longer jiggles. So that's good. We ended up baking it for about 47 minutes, just to make sure everything's solidified. Now what it says is, take a knife and go all the way around, separating the cake from the sides of the pan. That's what you're, in hopes that it doesn't go,
Yes, that would be exciting.
Now, again, this is mostly cake now, but there is that cream cheese filling on top, along with the. This turned out cool. She's ready.
Somebody's hungry.
Oh, somebody's hungry. All right, well, I guess we'll cut it. So we're gonna cut a piece. Now it should come up because we have the parchment paper. It's either gonna work out really well or it's gonna be a mess. Ta-da! Ooh, it looks good.
That's the best I've got.
Ta-da! Ooh! It smells good. Looks like a real cake. It's light and fluffy, so it's horrible.
That's the worst.
It is the worst. Well, this is my first attempt at making it gluten-free. I have made this cake before, but it turned out really good, didn't it? Mm-hmm. All right. So there you go, an Easter treat and gluten-free to boot. A total cake. And again, the original recipe says raspberry cream cheese coffee cake, but you can make it blackberry. You could probably, I bet it would be good with strawberry too.
Blueberry.
You could probably do blueberry as well. Because the nice thing about having the berries is they're slightly tart as compared to the rest of the cake, which is going to be sweet. So, wow, it smells good. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us and for going through this adventure of the 5 bowls. Never gonna get over that. Anyway, definitely please ring the bell to know when there's new videos coming. Like and comment on this video. Did you try it? Did you make it with strawberry? Did you make it with blueberry? Let us know what you found. Subscribe to the channel, and
What do you want to see us do next?
yeah, leave us a comment to let us know what you'd like to make next for the next Easter themed recipe. So, thanks for joining us. Happy making, happy baking, happy eating, and happy reading. Bye!